Dave, this is Kasak Keperu here with another broadcast for you. And today I want to talk about how there are no coincidences, only your reality and your power. So let me see my full greeting here. Assalamu alaikum and salam. What I want to talk to you about specifically is that we have to realize that the only way the ruling elite can gain power over us is if we give them our power. And the way we do this is not through a conscious effort, but by means of omission. So basically, we grow up in this society or in this matrix, and we're given these thoughts and beliefs and ideas about how the world operates, and we accept those and we internalize those. And in doing such, we rid ourselves of our power. We remove ourselves from our rightful throne of kingship or queenship. So instead of being God man, God woman, we are basically just humans, all right? And we have to go to an outside savior, whether it's an outside God or outside intermediary, a pastor, preacher, or whatever, to help us in navigating through this fourth dimensional world, which is full of obstructions and obstacles. But what you have to understand is this is the way they gain power, because they get you to believe, and that's very key, because we know that belief falls under the guise of Sebek or Anubis, because he is the god of beliefs and information, earthborn information. So they get us to believe and subscribe to this belief, and we have never validated it to say, oh, this is right, this is wrong. We just immediately accept it because it's become the norm. So let me give you a perfect example of this. And you'll notice that every TV show, every movie, every novel has one thing in common. The good guy always wins. Well, I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the way the world is today, the good guys have not won. In fact, the good guys have lost, because we are under the control of an elite group of psychopaths. And they have effectively washed our memories and our minds of the true history and the true essence of who we are. And if we were able to awaken and see the truth, then the world would be on the right path. But now it's on the path of doom. And but every now and then you'll see movies come out which try to guide you in the right direction, try to remind you of who you are. Movies like, for example, The Matrix, The Lion King, things like that. But the masses of the population are so asleep that they don't get it. You know what I mean? Even though something's trying to tell them, hey, you know what? You need to wake up, because there is a force that has rendered you helpless. And then we turn around and we wonder why there's suffering in the world. So when we want to talk about, especially conspiracy theorists and those people out there who consider themselves gurus, when we want to talk about what's wrong in the world, we first have to look at the mass media. We have to look at Hollywood. We have to look at the books we read, the newspapers, where everything tells us that by just being passive, by not intervening, that right always comes out on top. And that is not true. Every time I used to love Westerns as a kid. And I noticed that at the end of the Western, the cowboy ran off into the sunset with the girl, and it was a happy ending. But you have to understand that those individuals have taken control of the planet. And now they want you to believe that the truth of the matter is that whether you intervene or not, and it doesn't work like that. And I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. Good just doesn't automatically prevail. So they program you and get you into the mindset that, well, someone else will take care of it, or you know what, they're going to get what they deserve. Karma is going to come after them. Karma is a bitch. But it doesn't work like that. When you start to get older and you start to realize how the world works, you now understand that if you don't take control, if you don't gain back your power, then everything is going to go to shit. And that is the reality of it. Now, let me just relate to you my personal story. When I was growing up, my spiritual journey, I looked for gurus and people who were, leaders in their field. And I would study with these individuals, and I began to realize very quickly, and these were individuals that were not in the mainstream. They're on the peripheral, all right? And I began to realize in studying with these people and working with these people that the world was not what I was told it was. I thought that, you just be good, and you be righteous, and you do the right thing, you will prevail. And that's not it. What you have, the reality of the way the world works, is that you are Asar, the indwelling intelligence, the king of Kemet, and he is dormant within you, and he is waiting to be resurrected. So that's a metaphor. What I'm saying is that you have a power within you that you can access and tap into. Now, we go through life, we live our lives, and we see what we call as coincidences, or maybe luck. And we think that it's due, then you have these guys coming out of these universities which educate them and say, it's all a mathematical probability. Of course, things like the luck or coincidence will happen. That's mathematically sound. That's what happens. No, it's not, because there are no coincidences. Everything that transpires, which you may see as odd or coincidence, is really synchronicity, but it's even more than that. It is you. It is the spirit within you controlling the external world, which you believe in is an external world, which it is not. It is merely a projection of your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. So you are communicating to yourself through an awesome power within you. You may be talking about, gaining extra money, and next thing you do, you get your check, and your check has some extra money in that. And you go, wow, what a coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence. You manifested that. The only problem and the reason why you see it as a coincidence, because no one has told you how to use your power. That's why. So your power happens intermittently. It happens infrequently. So you can't make sense of it. You can't put the pieces of the puzzle together, because there's no one out there teaching you how to use your power. So these things that happen, you just see them as merely coincidence. Or if somebody is going and having, a run of good luck or a run of bad luck, you use that term, that definition, which falls under Anubis, Sebek, as luck. But you don't realize that's coming from a frequency within you, that it's resonating from within and going without, and that you have direct control over it, because it's really your reality. The things that you see around you that happen in a certain, which you think is a linear progression, is not really there. It is just, it is all a composite of what's going on inside of you. And the minute your beliefs change, then the external world has a subtle change. And again, the reason you don't know this is because you're not putting the pieces of the puzzle together. You're not making sense of the so-called coincidences. And you're not seeing how, when your beliefs are changing, your reality is changing. But let's go back to what I was saying before. The ruling elite has made it so that the propaganda is put out in the global perspective is that you have no control over reality, that you are separated, left brain thinking, separated from the world. You are not a part of the world. So therefore you have no direct control, Cartesian thinking, over what happens in the world. But you do. This is what our ancestors have told us, that it's your reality, it is your subjective reality, and you have direct control and influence in how it pans out. Now we're all come here with a destiny, and that destiny is guiding us in a certain direction, and we can't change that. That has to be the course, because the indwelling intelligence wants to experience something, a theme, okay? But within those parameters, within that theme, you have an influence on how things go. Now, let me break this down for you, because there's 4 points I wrote down so you can clearly understand this. When people are talking to you, when situations occur in your life, they only happen is because you have a certain belief of things in life. So when people are talking to you, they're merely feeding back what you have buried in your subconscious mind, whether you know it or not. This is when you're talking to your friends and somebody says something that you were thinking, you go, oh my God, I was just thinking that. What a coincidence. No, it wasn't a coincidence. Now, why isn't it a coincidence? Well, because there are the way that we control reality happens in a step process. And let me just go through this. And I covered a lot of this in my previous videos, but I want to break this down even further so you can see how real this is. Actually, before I go over the step process, let me go back to my journey. So when I began to see how the actions and thoughts that I had were affecting my environment, my situation, I began to say, wait, something's going on here. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I knew, I'll give you a very base example. Like, I would come to a job late, right? Sometimes I would just get up late and get to work late. And I had to say to myself, I can't keep coming late. And I was always afraid of running into my boss, right? And every time when I came in late, I either ran into my boss when I was in my car driving to work, or I would somehow get to work, jump on the elevator. Who's on the elevator? My boss. Every time. So I began to ask the question, what are the odds of this continually happening? I said, something's going on here. And that's when I realized that these things, these shaping factors, which caused those so-called coincidences of me meeting my boss, which defied the numbers, that there was something within me that was manifesting that. And I remember the one time in which it crystallized in me, and I knew 100% that this was real. This power was real. You see, other people can talk about a power, they can read about a power, they can learn from a guru, but until you experience it, that's Ma'at says, the only way to know truth, you must experience life. You must go through life. So the only way for you to understand this is to really experience it for yourself, because no one can talk to you about this. And I remember specifically, there was this woman I was working with, and her and I had a really good relationship, right? And it mushroomed into more than that. But she left the job, and I went working. I was really depressed about it because she was gone. And then eventually I left the job. And then I got a call, and this one company needed a consultant, and I went to work there. And lo and behold, when I went there and I started working, guess who worked there? It was her. But it wasn't that. It was some more really odd coincidences. And I remember it very vividly because when these things happened in succession, I left the building and I couldn't breathe because I said, there is no way this is a coincidence. This is impossible. How could I be working at this company with her and with other certain individuals? How is this even possible? And I mean, I literally left the building, went downstairs, had to sit down and try and get some air, And I was like, am I going to have to go to the hospital because I just can't breathe? Because I realized at that particular moment that there is no real reality. It is just, it's a conjuring of you and what you want. It's flexible. It is dynamic. It is energetic. It is responding to you. But that knowledge and that idea of an energetic reality has been taken away from you because you've had these left brain thinkers who can only think in a concrete term, not a metaphysical term, because that's the domain of the right brain. These left brain thinkers who call themselves prestigious scholars and all this has told you that reality is fixed, that is static, because they don't know anything. They're children. Our ancestors had knowledge that far exceeded anything they have today. So I'm telling you that what you're seeing around you, what you think are coincidences, is really your reality responding back to you. Now, if you could tap into your power, if you came to the realization of your power, what a life you could have. What a life. If we all could do this. Now, you have those in the conspiracy theory or the self-help, community who know about this. And then they try to make money off of it by calling it the law of attraction, the secret. They're bozos. These are people who are perverting the idea of the spiritual essence of who you are. Because they're boiling it down to one little law or one little idea or one little technique or trick. The power is more than that. Much, much more than that. This is why our ancestors said the world is Maya. It's really an illusion. You're falling victim to an illusion. Now, with that said, let me go into more about the techniques on how you can use this better, and refine the process. But you got to be observant. You got to look at these things, and you got to stop subscribing to the dominant belief system. And that's the one thing that I did. I said, listen, and I went to the great oracle, the Chinese oracle, the I-Ching. And I asked the I-Ching, and I said, is this a power I could use? Is this for real, or is this just my imagination? Because at that time, I still had doubts. And then the I-Ching came back and told me, it says, the man is at a crossroad. He can lead his way to being a magi or a sage, or he can quietly fall off and lead a secluded life. And that's when I realized, I said, something is here. This power is real. So I said, I got to go on the journey to understand this more. Because if I don't, and this power is real, then I'm allowing basically life to kick my ass. To whatever happens in life, to me, just to go with the ebb and flow. And I don't want to do that. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be responsible. As a God man and God woman, you know that, hey, you know what? I am going to be held accountable for this. I'm going to take responsibility for things that happen. Instead of me saying, oh, I'm just going through bad luck, I'm going to say, I create my own luck. I create my own situation. And with that thought in mind, you sit back on your throne. You become the king and queen again. So the first thing you have to know, as I said before, that the masses of the people are ill-informed. They've fallen victim to the dominant philosophy, which tells them that they're powerless, and which tells them that good always prevails, and it doesn't, because we've lost the battle, because the psychopaths are in, as I said before, are ruling the planet, and they truly are sick. So the first thing that you got to start to think about is pulling away from the world and society. And you see some people in spiritual culture who said, I'm going to get off the grid, I'm going to do this, but they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They just think that because, I'm going to go and live a very organic, healthy lifestyle, which is good. But there's a greater purpose to this. The reason why you pull away is because you know what they are teaching is dangerous, because they're teaching you how to give away your power. And that's a dangerous thing to do. But they want to do that to keep the masses of people who are God men, God women helpless, so they can rule. All right. So the reason why you may say, Kasanko, so why don't everybody use this power? How, if they have it, how come they're not using it? Which is a legitimate question, because there's nothing special you have to do to use your power. You're already using it because you're manifesting things. You're just not aware that you're doing it. The reason why is because we've never put this process. We don't use the right brain, which looks at things in a very abstract way. Because to see these things happen, you have to have more of an abstract perspective and not a left brain concrete perspective. All right. And this is how our ancestors thought, through integrated brain thinking or right brain thinking, where they were able to see abstractions, to synthesize information, where their left brain just would only look at the external aspects, label and define them, and then separate them. And when you do that, then nothing in terms of these miracles will make sense, looking at it from that left brain perspective. The main thing, number one, that you need to understand is the subconscious mind is the key to your power. If you are building that relationship with your subconscious mind, meaning that you're meditating, that you are self-reflecting, then the power will come to the forefront. Because I said it's Osir, or Osiris, known as the god of the dead. They said that because he ruled the underworld, or the subconscious mind, and he's waiting to be resurrected to the day, the waking state. All right. So your subconscious mind is the key to all this, waiting to come out to the forefront. If you're more of a waking external person, and not self-reflective, not internal, then it's going to be difficult for you to manifest the reality that you're looking for. So start thinking about meditating more. It has a lot of health benefits. The other thing is, what really this power responds to in the language of the subconscious mind is visual, and it is emotion. And I noticed that when, as the example I was giving before about, running into my boss, it was the fear, that strong emotion, which was manifesting the thing I did not want. So your emotions will give you what you want when they're plugged into the subconscious mind. And because you're not checking your emotion, which is the animal spirit we call the sahu, you then will use your power to manifest things you don't want in your life. And you have to be very careful about. This is why you have to be at a peaceful state, the Amen state, the state of oneness, centeredness. Amen. This is why Osir is symbolized as the mummy. All right. And so he was mummified. Now, what else? Your core self-image. How do you look at yourself from a subconscious perspective? We all have an image of ourselves. And that image of ourselves creates the reality that we experience. If your image of yourself is a person who is easily pushed around, has no backbone, and is not, let's say, for example, good with money, you're going to manifest those situations to experience. Because this vehicle that you have, the body, trapped within it is Osir, and it's trying to tell you, look at what you are manifesting based on the reflection of your emotions and your thoughts and your beliefs, specifically the archetype or the self-image that you have of yourself. If you learn to visualize that self-image in a different sort of way and to really work at that, you'll find your reality starts to change. So that self-image is key. This is why the Kemetic people, the ancient Egyptian people, use Osir as the we'll just say this way, the symbol of the goal that you want to be. And that iconography was key to your upliftment, because if you're focusing on being like Osir, all powerful on a daily basis, or if you're focusing on being like Oset or Ma'at, then you're going to manifest things according to that God or deity. You're not going to manifest all the human frailties, all the things that you have trapped in your subconscious mind that were mostly programmed by society. Because your self-image is programmed by, a combination of things: your parents, your upbringing, society, the interactions that you have, and you create this archetype of the self-image of yourself without you knowing it, without you realizing what you have done. This is why it's important to have these iconographies or these symbols of the different deities to worship, to have a relationship with, and to see and to aspire to be like. Because when you aspire to be like Osir and your self-image changes to be Osir, then what do you manifest in your life? Because Osir was also painted at one point in Kemet green, to symbolize of abundance, And so when you are focusing on that, then your life starts to have what we call as this run of good luck. There becomes abundance in your life. And that's because you've changed your self-image. The other thing is, going along with that, is that you have a core frequency. That frequency is going to determine what you repel and what you attract. Now, some people's core frequency is to attract money, attract love, or repel money or repel love. Now, this core frequency is not something that you necessarily created. It deals a lot with other things that I'm not going to go into right now. But rest assured, that core frequency is being picked up by everyone else in the environment, and is actually also determining your destiny, or helping to determine your destiny. Now, if you've tried a lot of things and you find that it don't work, then you have to start working on your core frequency and maybe reciting some mantras, which gets you to vibrate at a different frequency. And it will help you in certain things. When you go to an astrologist, they will map all of this out in terms of, if you're lucky with money, is the planet Saturn or Jupiter and this house and that house. So you'll be able to understand like all of these things are what your core frequency is doing and what it's attracting, what it's repelling. You know what I mean? Just like how they can do a blood test in a hospital and determine what are you allergic to. So it's no difference, no different. Now the other thing is, going back to the core frequency, if you get the book, the Willem Baines book, the I-Ching, the 40th and 50th hexagram deal with the core frequency because it talks about the cauldron and the well, and that is again another analogy to the subconscious mind of what's in it. The I Ching talks about, well, what's in the well or what's in the cauldron, what you put in there. You know what I mean? So that's the analogy to that. Now, the other thing is that we get these people in the self-help community, these gurus and all that, and they mean well. They're sincere, but the thing that they tell you is that you can manifest things in your life and lead a happier life. Yes and no. All right. Because if you could just manifest things, we all will be happy. It will be bottled. It will be published in a book, and the results would happen 100% of the time. But as well as I know that, a lot of people have tried things like The Secret, the Law of Attraction, and the results that people have had have been inconsistent. And I'm going to tell you why they've been inconsistent. All right. The one thing that people don't realize, and the only way I got to a good understanding of this was, again, going to the I Ching Oracle and asking the Oracle, why am I not manifesting the thing I want right away? You know what I mean? And the way to best describe it is this, very simple terms: baby steps, baby steps. And I talked about this before in a previous video. You are jumping realities. You are quantum leaping to different realities. And you have to understand that clearly. The thing you want it exists already in a parallel universe. How do you get there, though? You get there first by following the steps I've outlined for you. Understanding that when you see a sign, which is called a coincidence in this modern world, then that is telling you that you're on the right track. So you're not manifesting something huge and big in your life right away. You may not have that power to do that. But you can take steps in that direction and see signs that you're going in that right direction. Now, let me go back, because I got to say this very clearly. Some of us come to this plane of existence very powerful because we're so in tune to the subconscious mind. We're so in tune to our emotional state that things manifest quickly with us. It almost happens like spontaneously. What is it called? Spontaneously, sorry. And those are people who are gifted. But that doesn't mean that you can't do that. You can. It's a matter of your faith, you're being more in tune to the subconscious mind, your feelings, and your self-image. If you work on those, you can manifest these things. But what I'm saying is the majority of us who have not been using this power for most of our lives are going to have to take it step at a time. So if you want that house, do the process and understand that when you see signs, they are just guideposts saying you're going in the right direction, that it's coming to you. It's coming to you. Stay the course. Stay the course. It's coming to you. Others, like I said before, who come with their power intact could focus on the objective and manifest the house right away. And that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? But again, it's your belief system, because you may not have any beliefs that block you from having that house. Others may have beliefs like they don't feel entitled to a beautiful house. They don't feel entitled to a good mate. They don't feel entitled to money. And then they sabotage themselves in that sense. But you can have these things. It's only the belief system that you can't that really blocks you from that. All right. So I want you to understand that it takes time to jump from reality to reality to reality to get to the right reality where the thing that you want is waiting for you. But it may take time, or it may happen overnight. It can. It's all about you and how your makeup is. Now, myself, I'm very in tune to my emotions. And I have empath. I feel people's emotions, and I can't let that go. It bothers me. If I see somebody suffering, I'll hang on to that emotion of suffering for a week. So, and I'm very right brain. So I meditate easy. I go into hypnosis state very easy. So with those two together, usually if I'm thinking about something, it quickly manifests. You know what I mean? Whether it's good or bad. So this is one thing you have to be careful. I'm going to leave you with this. When I'm talking to friends, when I'm talking to people, and they'll say things like, making money is difficult. Navigating through life is difficult. I go, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't want to have a conversation with you because I don't want to accept that belief system, because I know that's what you have experienced and what you're believing, but my subconscious mind is very susceptible. So if you're saying things like that, you're basically impregnating my subconscious with that idea, and it will give birth to it. Again, going back to the Egyptian mythos or Egyptian mythology of Asar and Aset, and how Aset symbolizes trance meditation state, and her becoming impregnated or having an immaculate conception and giving birth to Haru, which is the will. So I always tell people, like, please let's not have a conversation about that. Let's not go there, because you're stating a belief, and it's a belief system that's limiting. And my subconscious is very, very impressionable. And I don't want to take that in, because I'll manifest it. And then I'll say, oh my God, my life, I got blocks in my life. Where are these blocks coming from? Well, because I had this conversation with this friend who said all these really incorrect belief systems. So I have to be careful of what I'm reading and who I'm listening to, because if they come along with limiting beliefs, I'm going to manifest that. And I want you to understand something very clearly too, before I go. It is a subjective reality. It is your reality. You are experiencing your story. Your subconscious is writing it out. It's writing it down and is manifesting it. Whether you realize it or not, whether you choose to accept it or not, because the only thing that exists is the now moment. And I want you to understand this clearly. I'm going to do another video which really goes deep into this. Because the only thing that exists is a now moment, and because you're creating a now moment based on a belief, usually it's the dominant social engineering belief, that when you accept a certain reality, it can actually change the past. Because that reality cannot exist without something to set it up. So you accept it, and then it creates a past. You will not remember a different past. You will only remember the past of the belief system you accept. For example, if I truly, truly believed that as a child, I had abuse, well, then I'm going to create that history. But it can be changed. And we know this documented by hypnotherapists who've gone into patients in a subconscious state and actually rewrote their past. So we know that what we perceive as reality is really a hypnotic state. It's a combination of thoughts and beliefs that create an hypnotic tunnel, which we call as the reality that we're experiencing. I've always said this. I said, if you pick up a history book today and you read it, and you pick it up, the same book 20 years from now, it'll be different. I guarantee you it'll be different, because through that 20 years experience, your belief systems will change. And when you read that book, you'll find it's not the same book, because history is changing and you don't even realize it's happening to you. But the ruling elite know that. This is how they're able to manipulate the past to create a future that they want. And we don't even remember the past, the previous past that existed. But this is the world that Netter, God's source, set up. And it's a beautiful thing, because it says you play a role in how things will unfold. that everything that there is around there is not out of your control. It is in your control. But the more that you accept the dominant belief system, their ideology of life, the more that you lose your power and you lose your throne. So what I'm saying is, brothers and sisters, let us get back to our rightful place. And I don't mean the changing of the guard. I don't mean that when we get back to a rightful place on this planet, I don't mean that we take out the politicians because a certain politician said a racist thing or that they don't go according to the laws that we want. I'm saying that realize that you are the power, that these things that you see happening are just reflections of what's going on and the agreement that you made to experience a certain reality, but they're not real. They're absolutely not real. You need to go through life with the understanding, and you have to be centered and said, I know this reality is not real, but I do know it will hurt me if I fall victim to the idea or the belief system that it can hurt me. Because the one thing you have that can save you, no matter what goes on, is you can tune back into your state of amen, the state of peace within, the centeredness. And no matter what's going on in the outside world, you can, and the world could be in turmoil, you can be centered. And you can say, I don't care what a politician says. I don't care what this is happening. I just know that I have power to influence my reality. And there's the process which I call it as going dark. And what I mean by that is when you are seeing things that don't align with your belief system as God, man, God, woman, you don't acknowledge it. You ignore it. And I say, you know what? I don't choose to believe in that reality. And I'm sorry, I dismiss that. That is not part of my reality. And watch it fade away. Watch it go away. And watch you vibrate to a new parallel reality, one that's in alignment with your new beliefs as God, man, God, woman. But the more that you believe in what these con artists are saying, that you have no control, you have to vote, you have to protest, you're only human, you know, everything's a coincidence, this thing called luck. The more you believe in that, then you forsake your birthright as God, man, God, woman, and king and queen. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That is all I have for today. If you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share this video if you liked it with your friends and family. Let's get the revolution started. Let's ignore the dominant belief system and recognize our true lineage, our true heritage as God, man, God, woman. Say it, believe it. This is Kasak Ma Keparu, and that's all for now.